If you're living in a bubble and you haven't got a care, well, you're gonna be in trouble because we're gonna steal your air. Because what you got is what we need, and all we do is dirty deeds. We're the Spaceballs. Watch out, because we're the Spaceballs.
Oh, I'm hoping one of those AI generators came up with that.
No, that's the
actual
lyrics.
song.
Dang it.
So that is the introduction and summary of today's 10 Forward Spaceballs.
Fucking yes.
The
Actually,
podcast.
we should have those AI
Spaceballs
generators
the podcast.
do
I
our
love
summaries from now on.
That's tempting.
it. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make you art for this one, for the cover that's just going to be Spaceballs the podcast.
There we go.
Nah, good one.
Actually,
Who are you?
Oh, yes, I'm
First,
Chris.
before anything.
I'm Chris, and joining me today are...
Ames.
Caitlin.
Lone Star!
Good one.
Yogurt!
Yogurt!
I hate yogurt!
Even with strawberries.
Nobody would dare give me the raspberry.
He just doesn't like fruits, I think. You know, it's... Man, we should have all introduced ourselves as Dink.
Ding, ding,
Yep.
ding,
Ding,
ding.
ding, ding.
So yes, we've mentioned it many times, and finally, because real life got in the way, we were like, fuck it, let's finally do Spaceballs.
Hooray!
Mel-
Finally completing our Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah. Mel Brooks, 1987?
Yeah.
Flim, making spoof of mostly the Star Wars.
But also some other things pop in randomly.
But also...
Some more random than others.
Yeah. But also, as I realized watching this, it never occurred to me before, I think this also influenced George Lucas.
Yeah, I think it influenced Disney buying Lucasfilms.
That too. But no, legit.
Merchandising.
When they're having the Schwartz saber duel at the end, Lone Star does some crazy backflip gymnast shit.
Oh my god.
And remember, at that point, Jedi didn't pull that nonsense.
That's
Luke
true.
did some high jumping, but that was about it. Then suddenly, 12 years later, episode 1 drops, and they're flipping around like Lone Star.
Shit.
Flipping around like Lone Star.
So yeah,
Maybe that
Spaceballs.
was the other part of the deal when Lucas was like, no, Mel, I won't sue you for this, but I'm taking your flips.
No, they totally had this deal going, basically. So, Brooks brings to Lucas, I want to spoof Star Wars. I'm really good at it. I'll do a great job. And you know what the really annoying thing that Lucas fucking did? Because otherwise, he loved the film. He laughed his ass off. It was a great film. He
I
enjoyed
bet
it.
I know what annoyed him.
I don't know.
I thought you were about to say.
No, the deal that they made was Lucas said, if you guys make action figures, they're just gonna look like Star Wars action figures, and that'll detract from my sales. Because Lucas basically seems to have made these films to sell toys. Mm-hmm. And that's 90% of what he does with Star Wars.
Well, and that's like one of the things that's spoofed in this movie is the fact that Star Wars is just a toy-selling vehicle.
So, there is no actual Spaceballs merchandising because it was in the contract that Lucas won't let there be toys, basically, because he's the toy guy.
I mean...
He knows where the money really comes from.
It's annoying in a way, but also, I'm kind of glad, because it would be almost like defeating your own joke if you then actually had merchandise.
I don't know. I really want that flamethrower.
Fair.
Toy for children.
Fair. Actually, speaking, since we're already talking about the merchandising, did anyone notice the coloring book?
Yes.
It clearly they took a Transformers coloring book and slapped a space because they have Optimus Prime on the cover.
Yeah.
But as you said, at the time when we were watching it, in a way that was foreshadowing.
Yeah,
Because
for
then
Mega
yeah, exactly.
So I kind of wonder if it was on purpose or just they're like, it looks science fiction.
I feel like it was. I kind of feel like it must have been on purpose.
Yeah,
When
but
I think about the.
how hard is it just to have someone mock up a cover with Lone Star on it?
Oh, it's easy. But
Or
you know what this
yogurt.
was? Cheaper.
Yeah, but it's not like they skimped on like they had custom bed sheets made for
That's true.
Scroob's
Maybe
beds.
that's where a lot of the money went. Was that? I hope he still has that somewhere.
I really want the big like cave thing shaped like yogurt that he just comes out of. I want one shaped like yogurt.
I'm just gonna. My headcanon is that lives on the front lawn at Mel Brooks's estate.
It's actually it's his dog's house.
Yes.
Aww.
Oh, there you go. His Mog's house.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, I think
My
the
best friend.
the merchandising joke might be my favorite gag,
Oh.
other than the meta gag, which we'll get back to because holy shit.
That's also.
I mean,
Also
but
great,
even the
but-
merchandising gags are meta gags.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because they can't sell merch,
Yeah.
and that was Brooks's joke, saying, "Well, I can't do it in reality, so I'll do it in the movie," and it's so clever.
It is. It's fascinating too, just on the real Star Wars films. When George was making the deal to do the original Star Wars, he asked for a significant chunk of the merchandising. And at the time, film merchandising was not he basically invented it.
Yeah.
Essentially. Like, it existed to a very minor extent. So between the fact that it wasn't big and no one knew how big Star Wars was going to be, Fox just went, yeah, sure, whatever, give it to him. What asshole. I wonder just how often they kicked themselves for that over the years.
In the sale to Disney, what did he retain any of that, or did all of that go to Disney?
I have no idea.
I mean, it was a huge fucking deal.
It was $4 billion.
But if you think about it, though, I mean, ignore the fact that Disney has more or less squandered that property.
Amazingly,
and,
yes.
like,
Though
not-
by all accounts, Andor's fantastic.
Oh, it is. It
You
actually
haven't seen
is.
it yet?
Not yet.
Yeah,
I think you'd like it.
It really is.
It doesn't look like other Star Wars. It just looks like a show.
It
Yeah.
might be in terms of like Star Wars content. It's up there with my tops. I would say 100%. I won't say it's my favorite just because it's not even done yet. But if the first season is anything to go by, it's pretty.
Well,
excellent.
of course, it's not your favorite because it doesn't have Baby Yoda.
That's true. That's true. Well, he hasn't met Baby Yoda yet. Baby Yoda, I guess, would technically be alive in this time frame.
That's true.
So
It's true.
He could. It
It'd
could
be
happen.
even tinier.
Please don't cross it over.
Yeah, no, that would be unnecessary. I actually remember
They're
Carrie.
gonna do it.
There'll just
Damn
be
it.
2 episodes where it's literally just like The Mandalorian again, just like they did with the Book of Boba Fett or whatever.
Yeah.
Carrie Fisher, I remember once said, "I'm pretty sure I have to give George a nickel every time I look in a mirror."
Oh.
Talking about his licensing deal.
But anyway, this movie.
Yes.
This movie.
I think I've mentioned this before on our show that when I was a kid, I had a VHS of Spaceballs that I watched all the time.
Daily.
Like it was practically, right? Like there were like 3 or 4 movies that were just in rotation.
As often as Jake watches Gladiator now.
Well, when I was a kid, it was like Ghostbusters, Beetlejuice, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and Spaceballs.
All
Like,
good
those
choices.
were
Yeah,
the 4 that I
yeah.
just kind of like watched. They were in rep in my house. So, and like there were legit days like this is going to be sign of a deranged mind or something. But I would watch one of those movies, rewind it, and then watch it again. Like
How old would you say you were?
I think between
This was last year.
like 5 and 7, or I don't know, whatever age I would have been.
I gotta
I
say,
mean,
though.
kids do that though.
I know.
Yeah, but here's the thing, and this is where your parents are your parents were extraordinarily lucky. Because for some kids, that movie they become obsessed with is some awful, like, children's garbage. They're like, oh god, it's the 3rd time today, but at least it's fucking Spaceballs and not, like, the
Peppa
Care
Pig.
Bears movie.
Oh god. But the thing is, right, because I had watched this movie so much, and like Star Wars was not in my consciousness at all. Until
So
I knew what Star Wars was. I am sure I had seen it. I wouldn't say it wasn't. It was probably not until the kind of the resurgence of Star Wars in '97 when they did the remaster
re-releases.
Mhm.
Yeah.
did I really become a fan of Star Wars. So a lot of the Star Wars jokes in this movie were kind of went past me.
But the movie itself is still accessible.
The movie is still accessible.
Lower Decks writers, take note.
Exactly. Like it's still accessible, especially for a kid who's like, you know, again, like, think about those movies I listed. Ghostbusters,
Yep.
Beetlejuice, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. They're all, like, comedies that are also just, like, good movies to watch. And I feel like this is in the same boat.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, well, it's funny, like, Ghostbusters, remember, it, you know, when I was a kid, it was just this funny movie about these 4 guys trying to save the world, and, like, I didn't get, you know, this is the 80s, the height of the overly buff action man movie. And, like, so I didn't get that it was a joke, or it was supposed to be funny that, like, towards the end, they're having to climb all these stairs and they're exhausted. Because I'm just like, yeah, of course, I would be too. You know, because this was the 80s when fucking Arnold and Stallone were running around with huge guns being super athlete guys. And the fact that 4 ordinary schlubs had to, like, save the world from the apocalypse was part of the gag.
Yeah.
But the rest of the movie was still, you know, good. And, you know, there's that creepy ghost blowjob, and I did not understand what was going on. Ugh.
Bustin' makes me feel good.
Oh,
The woman that played the blowjob ghost passed away recently.
Oh.
dang.
That's sad.
Yeah.
Now she's actually a blowjob ghost.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So, obviously, we all know that Mr. Tuvok
Yay!
is Mr. We Ain't Found Shit.
Love him.
But while I was looking people up yesterday, I found that we have 2 other, albeit much more minor, Star Trek people in this.
Oh, do we?
Commander Zircon
Sure.
plays the smuggler that brings Quark Lee Nallis's earring.
Interesting.
Yeah. And the nurse, Gretchen, the nose job guy's assistant.
The one who starts making out with the doctor?
Yeah.
Go work on your putts?
Yes, is she apparently, she's actually very well known in her own right now. She apparently was a regular on Desperate Housewives? Some really big show. But she was in When the Bow Breaks.
Oh God, was she one of the children or one of the
No.
adults who
One of the
wanted
adults.
some- Oh, okay.
Because she would have been...
Yeah,
This
she
was,
was
this
already-
was the same year that
I have
TNG
no,
came
I
out.
have no sense of time.
But yeah, so I was like, oh wow, look at that. So yeah, so other Star Trek people.
That's
that,
Very cool.
But obviously the key one is Tuvok
Yeah.
Comb in the Desert.
Who's excellent in this, and they make little Star Trek gags, which are very funny. I love that Star Trek exists in
Yeah.
this world. When they say about the transporting, well, it works in Star Trek. Let's
Yep.
try it out. Oh God!
Then the Vulcan neck pinch, which he was
Yep.
doing wrong.
No, you gotta a little lower.
Where the neck meets the shoulder.
So, remind me, though, so in the intro to the movie, it says Once Upon a Time, right?
Once Upon a Time Warp.
Oh, Once Upon a Time Warp. Okay, so it could be in the future.
Well, it definitely is, because even in the future, nothing works.
All right, that's what I was going to say. Like, if this was supposed to take place in the past...
You know? No.
I also noticed that it's chapter 11.
Yep.
Yep.
Which...
Still waiting for chapters 1 through 10.
Well, the thing I think is such a great joke about that is it's chapter 11, which not only makes fun of episode 4 being
Right.
Star Wars, but it also is, chapter 11 is the tax code for bankruptcy.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's extra funny.
I didn't think about it until you just said it out loud. I was like,
Yeah.
wait a minute.
Yeah, chapter 11.
That's
so
why they
funny.
need the merchandising.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
The same when we were watching this, I feel like Lone Star is a better Okona than Okona.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think this is what they wanted him to be.
Yeah.
They wanted Lone
Smarmy,
Star.
Attractive. Fucking one of the first things Bill Pullman did.
Yep.
Shocking.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, I
This
didn't
to
realize.
the President of the United States. It's such a
Yeah.
big step up.
I don't know. I think the thing I saw Bill Pullman in, like, repeatedly before seeing anything else he's in is the While You Were Sleeping.
Oh,
Which is
that's
a
that Sandra Bullock
rom-com,
movie, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
with Sandra Bullock.
Which is
Thi-
kind of creepy, if I recall.
Is it creepy?
Most rom-coms
That's
are.
true.
Yeah, that's true with their heart. This is probably the first thing I saw him in.
Oh, okay.
First
well,
thing
It was
I-
either this or
sense.
Casper.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, for me, it's definitely was Casper.
But yeah, for most of my childhood, he was, Lone Star, the dad in Casper, and to an extent, the president in Independence Day.
we'll cover that one day. It'll
Yeah.
be a good day.
I've never seen it.
It'll be our
Really?
Independence Day.
It's something.
I have no idea what you'll think of it, Caitlin.
Maybe,
We'll find out when we get
maybe
there.
next Independence Day we should cover it as a...
No, we were actually discussing there's going to be a year where Independence Day falls on a Thursday, so we're going to do it that year.
Oh, okay. 2035 it is.
I don't know
You
how Jake
laugh,
knows
but
how
we'll
dates
still
work.
be doing it. So
You know what else was interesting that I looked up?
Tell us.
The editor of all people on this, Conrad Buff the Fourth,
Good
which
name.
is such a great
Damn.
name.
Damn. Just
Would-
attracts panties. Holy shit.
Well, if that didn't do it, winning an Oscar for editing Titanic would.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
But not only did he work on Titanic, he was an editor on the original Battlestar Galactica.
The original, wow.
Yeah, the TV show. I'm not sure if that's why there's a Cylon helmet in a scene, but there is. The Empire Strikes Back, Raiders of the Lost Ark, E.T., Poltergeist, Return of the Jedi, Ghostbusters, like,
That's
all
pretty
these
prolific.
huge 80s movies.
Wow.
He was an editor.
He was
That's
the
crazy.
one editor at the time.
Apparently.
Well, it's funny because I was noticing somewhat that Lone Star, like, although, yeah, he reminds me, he's obviously a Han Solo knockoff.
Dressed like Indiana Jones because
True.
they didn't want him to look like Harrison Ford.
But
Wait, he didn't want to look like that Harrison Ford.
Right.
Ha!
to me, he reminded me a lot, at least, especially like with the hair. He reminded me a lot of Dirk Benedict's character from Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, yeah.
Starbuck.
Okay, I asked Jake this in the middle of the movie and you didn't have an answer. I wonder if you guys have a thought. Bill Pullman in this movie, wearing a wig?
I always wondered that because the hair color is so bizarre.
It just kind of looks like
I just couldn't
bleached.
find roots.
It might be a wig. I mean,
I just thought it was-
They're all wearing wigs.
I thought it was
Bev
a,
wears a wig all the time.
yeah. I just thought it was a weird dye job, to be honest.
Well, whatever it is, I don't love it. That's probably the one thing I would change.
I'd still fuck him.
Oh, same. I'm not saying I wouldn't fuck. Listen. Let's not
Like that's what I
carried
always
away.
That's what I always kind of forget till I see this movie. It's like, oh god, I forgot how fucking hot young Bill Pullman is.
Young. He's not all the time.
Well, that's also true. I thought you were going to be like, young. He's not young. He was 53 in this movie. And I'm like, wait a minute. That's not right.
Yeah, so while we're talking about the cast, so obviously we have, Bill Pullman doing some fun stuff. Mel Brooks we talked about. Tim Russ. John Candy.
Yep.
Oh my god, I love
Fabulous.
him in this so much.
With his beaten Star Trek by about 20 years on having animated ears.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Eventually in Enterprise, the Andorians will finally get mechanical deedly
yeah, but
bobs.
those I hate. No, and I give them credit because I think they originally were saying, oh yeah, we'll just have, some kind of dog mask on him. And I think Mel Brooks said, or somebody said, we got freaking John Candy.
Yeah.
We want to see his face. Otherwise, what's the point of having John Candy?
Yeah. Like,
And his comic timing in this is perfect
He's
all
so
the
good.
time.
He's
I
so good.
enjoy him.
I love the it's like a very subtle, it's not a subtle gag at all. What am I saying? But when they land
There are no subtle gags.
when they
in
land the
movie.
ship and they need to steal the uniforms from the two guards, and like there's one skinny guard and one fat guard.
Yep.
And it's like, how convenient.
Yep.
I almost wondered why they didn't underline that and be like, oh good, there are sizes.
But then it's like, you get it.
Yeah.
We'll say, well, as Jake pointed out, there's at least one subtle joke, the chapter 11.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, there's definitely some subtle jokes, but yeah, I guess that's a Mel Brooks signature, is that the jokes are not subtle. They're there and you will see them.
One that I had never noticed until this viewing was when we were watching the combing the desert scene. Tuvok and his fellow, they're both black, and they are carrying an afro pick. I had never realized that
took
they
until
have
this
a
viewing.
pick. Yeah, no, I thought they just had a comb.
That's the whole joke, though.
Yeah, I know, but I
The
didn't
joke
get
only
it.
works if you notice that.
I didn't.
When we were children, it was just funny because he swore.
Yeah, he said shit, and I thought it was funny.
But the
black
but that actually
sheriff?
brings something up, is like, because I've had debates with people about just Mel Brooks movies in general. And,
Have you?
And like,
I want to hear these debates.
well, they're not so much debates. They're just like, okay,
Which things work and which ones don't.
Well,
Well,
it's like,
like, what
how
the-
close does he skirt racism, and like at
Yeah.
what point would he
Fair.
cross over?
That's
and,
true.
like,
You couldn't make most of his movies today.
Well, right?
No.
Like this movie with like Blazing Saddles. Holy shit!
I still can't believe they were able to make it then. Never mind thinking about trying to do it now.
I don't know. I think I would trust like a Jordan Peele to do a new Blazing Saddles in an interesting way,
Well,
and maybe turn it because
okay,
he
but
turns things on their
That's the other thing
heads.
too. Is like Mel Brooks is not black.
No,
Like it's
Jewish.
Jewish, true. Yeah, so
Makes
there,
a lot of
there
those
are a lot of
jokes.
Jewish jokes in this movie.
So
Yeah.
many.
But yeah, like the black jokes are a little bit.
Like in this, it's
Tougher.
questionable. Obviously, Blazing Saddles he co-wrote with Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
So, and actually he wanted Richard Pryor to play Bart, but the studio was like, he's a little too controversial.
For a second, I was going to say barf. No, wait, wrong
We'll
movie.
just put him in a series of kids movies.
Yeah, instead. Though I will say, I mean, I love Richard Pryor. He's very funny, but Cleavon Little's so good in that movie.
Yeah.
It's sad that he passed away young, because he should have had a much bigger career than he did.
I also just think he's much better looking than Richard Pryor, and I was there
That's
for
true.
it. I
It is a little more believable that So it'd be more believable that Madeline Kahn wants to fuck him.
Yeah, but and it's like, as much as I would love to have seen Richard Pryor in that role, and especially playing off the other actors, I think it would have been really good. But I feel like Richard Pryor would have been distracting.
I think so.
Because the whole time you'd be like, oh, look, it's Richard Pryor, and he's doing crazy stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, with this one having been written by Mel Brooks and like 2 other guys, one of which I think actually was the guy that played the priest doing the wedding. That one's a little more like, that one's a little more iffy.
Yeah. But again, like, do I think they would have made this movie today and included, like, the Afro pick joke? Probably not. Also, I don't know if people would get the Afro pick joke as much today, because I feel like...
Well, it obviously took me about 25 years to get it, so who knows? But you can't judge other people's abilities to get jokes on me, to be fair.
True, but I don't know. So I just don't know if that joke would have been included.
I mean, I know when I was a kid, like, I didn't get that. I knew those combs existed, but I didn't realize that they were Afro picks. They were just... this other weirdly thin comb. I didn't know why they were thin. I didn't realize they had a specific job. So for me, it was just funny. The man swore.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think the other joke, and I think Mel Brooks has basically admitted, like, this is the one joke in the movie that doesn't work. And when I listened to as I watched it, I realized, oh yeah, that one. There's something about the timing and the delivery and everything about it that doesn't work, is when they're going to go to Mega Maid mode, and I think the line is, "Ready, Kafka." And it's unclear what the fuck is happening?
Because they just said
got it.
You get it because they say metamorphosis.
Yeah.
They're like, prepare for metamorphosis.
Yeah,
and
right.
then ready, Kafka. Because
I don't know. I thought the delivery was like, is Kafka the mechanism? Is Kafka the person?
Oh, yeah. It was literally, it was Mel Brooks being like, I'm smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I get
think
a joke
it's too
that
glossed over.
I did not get as a kid.
Yeah, I didn't get it either as a kid. I actually noticed it for the first time last night, and I was like, oh.
See, I remember always noticing it because I'm like, what the fuck is Kafka?
Which one of these characters was Kafka?
Kafka asshole, or is Kafka his last name?
See, there should have been a big button that just said Kafka, and then you could see it, so you'd understand this is metamorphosis.
What it should have cut to is a cockroach activating it or something.
That would be
cute.
funny too.
That'd be funny.
Yeah.
You know.
The one joke that I think we have a couple better options to make it work.
Yeah, who else? We had, of course, Joan Rivers is the voice of Dot Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So good.
Daphne Zuniga is the princess. I think she was kind of big in the 80s.
Yeah, she was kind of big in the 80s. They were she was a get for this movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I was like, I know every name of the main cast except for her.
Yeah, I think it was because they had John Candy and they had Rick Moranis, who, holy shit, Rick Moranis.
Yeah, they were both
that they didn't mind going with a no name for Lone Star.
Which is funny because,
now
Bill
Bill
Pullman
Pullman
is a household name, and Zoe, whatever her name is.
Daphne Zuniga.
Daphne's, who knows? I'm sure she's doing well, but...
yeah, I think she's still done a lot of stuff, just not stuff that has been in my orbit aside from this.
I guess not.
I found out yesterday that Shields and Yarnell are a mime duo and not a band, because one of them, Shields or Yarnell, was actually in the Dot suit.
Aha, yes, Yarnell was the physical
They
performance.
were a mime duo back in the
wow.
60s and 70s when that was a viable career and you would get on television.
Sounds like Gong Show stuff.
They had, I wrote down somewhere, they had 6 different Dot Matrix costumes for Lorraine Yarnell to wear because they all got broken very easily, out in sand, getting sand in them, and they had to have one with rollerblades and one with not rollerblades. And,
Yeah.
Well, I had so many sets of these things.
You can tell at one point there's also a version with a soft skirt.
Yeah.
Is that the one that Barf carries so that it doesn't dig into his back, maybe?
Probably. It's most noticeable when she's lying down in the sand at one point.
Okay.
When she's broken down, it's like a soft skirt instead of a plastic one. That was actually probably also on advice from George Lucas. It was like C-3PO broke so much. There had to be a lot of 3POs, the joints especially shattered.
I bet.
It was interesting when they're escaping the prison and she's just attached to
I think
Barf's tail. And then
they're pulling her along.
And she's on roller skates.
Yeah.
I think she also is on them when they're fleeing the wedding and she's hanging on to
Oh,
the veil.
yeah, you're right.
So there must have just been one of the suits that had roller skate feet.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
I like
I
how-
was actually wondering, like, I wonder if the actress is actually in there at this time, or if that's like a dummy, but the head was moving. Just that, like, because John Candy now has to pull a.
Oh yeah, you're right. If they were really
Yeah, but if
heavy.
it weren't a person, it would topple over.
That's so it probably was.
Yeah.
I like how whenever it was clear, like whenever she had to like pick when she picked up the veil or the train to go down the aisle, it was clear whenever the camera was just out of frame of it and she was behind, someone must have put that in her hands because I don't think she'd be able to.
No.
It's like, man, good use of the blocking people so that you couldn't see someone do that.
Yep. Oh, and of course, John Hurt
Yeah.
as
Alien.
himself.
Reprising his role.
That one I thought, because it's so close to the end of the movie, and there's been fairly few like actual like visual references to other things in this movie. Comes out of fucking nowhere.
It does. And I think...
but I love
Well,
it.
it just seems to me like
it's great, but then they're like, oh wait, we're doing Alien.
Well, it's like I'm sure what it was. Like Mel Brooks, like, wouldn't it be funny if the alien that popped out of John Hurt's chest in Alien had done a song and dance?
Yeah.
Right. And then it's like, okay, well, how do we get that into this movie? Well, let's have him go to a diner and eat some bad food.
Here's the thing, and I think the main reason I think it works is because they got John Hurt.
right.
Yeah.
Like, had it been, like, the fact that everyone else is just like a stand-in kind of thing, like, that's fine. The fact that if it wasn't actually John Hurt on the table,
It wouldn't have worked.
like, if it was a fake John Hurt but real Sigourney Weaver, it wouldn't have worked.
Yeah, no, it
Like,
had
the
to be
fact
John
that it's
Hurt.
John Hurt having it happen again and going, not again,
Not Again was fucking great.
it's just like...
Did he
this-
ad-lib that, or was
no,
that actually the
I'm
line?
pretty sure that was in there.
Like, yeah, I'm just like, this probably shouldn't work, but it does because it's John Hurt.
Purportedly, when he was cast in the movie, they didn't even tell him that that's what they were doing.
That's funny.
I love that.
And he walks in and they're like, okay, we're going to put the alien in you now. And he's oh, really? And I'm sure that
He went,
it's
"Not
a good
again."
not again moment. But, you know, he does a great job with it.
But speaking of that scene, Ames, you pointed something out
Did I? Jesus,
yesterday.
what did I do?
Well, I'll tell you now.
God.
Speaking of taking inspiration, that scene takes place in a 50s diner with a sassy
Yes!
waitress.
yes! Oh, shit!
Wow.
Dexter Jetster was here!
Okay, so
all along!
What
with
else
us.
did George steal from this movie? Now I'm really gonna...
Oh, I thought we were suggesting that Jake had stolen it, but...
No, it's Dexter Jetster all the way.
Caitlin has blocked episode 2 from her memory
That's
already.
fair.
More or less,
Good
yeah.
work. Yeah, contrary to the alien coming out of nowhere, maybe because it's right on the heels of it, and it's another reference out of nowhere. It's like, let's do Planet of the Apes now. I'm like, sure, I'm going wherever you want me to.
There goes the planet.
Yeah, and that was what's his face?
Dr. Zaius.
Dr. Zayas.
Yes, no, the actor. What the fucking guy's name? Basil Exposition.
Oh, Michael York.
Michael York. Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
I didn't know that. That's great. That is like one of my favorite subtle gags from Austin Powers. That they
They
only
always come back to Austin Powers.
I don't know.
Jesus Christ.
they sadly.
Batman.
I saw an interview with him where they said, yeah, no one got it, which is why in the future films they never say his full name.
Oh, they never got that his name was Exposition.
Like, a lot of people apparently didn't know what exposition meant,
Oh.
so people didn't get
they
the
are
joke.
kids' movies.
Technically not, but a lot of dick jokes for a kids movie.
fair number of jokes. For
Welcome to kids.
True, but yeah, and yeah. So Rick Moranis, yeah, like you said, him and like John Candy is both huge in the '80s comedy.
So good in this.
I can't think of Colonel Sanders' real name at the
I
moment.
have it written down.
Thank you.
George Weiner.
There it is.
They originally were hoping for Steve Martin. They didn't get him.
that would have been distracting, I think.
Maybe.
There definitely probably would have been a lot more shtick between Sanders and Helmet had that happened. I feel like. Actually, I like him too. He's in Mel Brooks' remake of To Be or Not to Be, which is a fairly underrated one of his films.
I remember liking that one.
Yeah, he's one of the theater troupe in that.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen him, that actor, in other things, or if I have, I haven't noticed it.
I looked him up once. He's a that guy in many ways. Stephen Tobolowsky, or however you pronounce his name, is the guard that points out that they captured his stunt doubles.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like a huge everywhere that guy nowadays. At the point he was, I don't know how big he was, but nowadays he's fucking everywhere.
Do we talk about sound effects dude yet?
Oh, right, Michael Winslow.
Yeah, Michael
I
Winslow.
love
yeah.
him. He is so cool. I remember like seeing videos about him in like elementary school because he was so like prolific and so cool with all the sounds he could do.
What an interesting way to make a name for yourself. I just make noises.
Yeah, I was about to say, that is one thing about this that
Every kid's dream.
very much identifies this as an 80s film, is the presence of Michael Winslow.
Yes.
He's like, his star burned bright and strong from, like, Police Academy right up through maybe 91.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Now he mostly plays himself.
Yeah.
I imagine.
Yeah, shows up and makes some noises.
Well, that's one of my favorite scenes. I love
That's
that.
a good
That's a great
scene.
scene. I know that. So they didn't have in the script the Dark Helmet playing with dolls.
Really?
And Mel Brooks just says, you know what I kind of want here? Because, he'd been dicking around with Moranis the whole movie and just saying, okay, here's what we're going to do. Here's the doll. Here's some dolls. I don't know where these dolls came from. They look great. Considering they couldn't do merchandising, son of a bitch. And he gives him these dolls and just had him ad-lib.
That's
Which-
fucking brilliant. I had no idea.
You consider, like, how often they allow actors to ad-lib shit in a movie like this. And he fucking nails it.
It's such a good scene. That's the scene, actually. Is it that one? Fuck, no, I'm not. Yeah, I think it's that scene where he's got, like, a fucking cabinet behind him and the little Cylon helmet is on top of that. It's either that or the room with the sword fight, one or the other. Yeah, I was looking at them because at first I was thinking had they modified existing things, but like if they did, so much modification was done they were basically bespoke by the end.
Yet they
Yeah.
wouldn't do the coloring book. Why? I want that coloring book.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. Maybe they had one like maybe something went wrong, like it didn't get made in time, or someone forgot
It's
to order
so
it,
easy.
or
Have someone just do it on the set.
it got destroyed somehow, and maybe it was getting mailed and vanished. I don't know. But yeah, because that was one thing I don't know if I noticed before watching last night. I was like, that's Optimus Prime. And once you see it, you're just, hold on. Although then, as was pointed out too, it is very obviously a Raisin Bran box that they slapped Dark Helmet on for the cereal.
Yum. 100% sugar.
That I didn't notice.
Oh, you
That's
didn't notice?
amazing.
Oh, that's a good gag. I laughed
is-
at that one.
That is good. Oh, God. It is funny how, like, right up in, that scene happens, and then it's everywhere for the rest of the film. But for, like, the first, just Spaceballs, the whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they don't scatter them around beforehand to kind of, like, seed it. It's like, the scene happens, and then for the rest of the movie, it's fucking everywhere, which I think is good restraint.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I don't know if I'd noticed it before and forgotten, or I didn't notice it the first time last night, but when Scroob pops out from under the covers and has a book upside down, I realized it's a biography of himself.
Oh, I missed that.
It's too bad that we never got Spaceballs 2,
The Search
Quest
for More Money.
Are there any sequels to Mel Brooks movies? Because I think it's always a running joke. Like,
is.
in the sequel, we'll do this. In the sequel, I mean, there's references between his movies, but there's never...
there is one sequel, History of the World Part 2.
doesn't exist.
Well, no, because there's no History of the World Part 1, isn't it?
I thought it was part 1 exists.
I
Part 2 doesn't
I
exist.
thought Part 2 existed, not Part 1. Never mind.
Yeah,
Strike
no,
this.
it's... Yeah.
Strike this, but that would have been funny if that was true.
Yeah, no, History
Son
of the
of a bitch.
Yeah, because History of the World Part 1 starts at the very, very, very beginning.
Oh, yeah,
And
the first art critic.
At the end, it does have a trailer for History of the World Part 2, which includes the song Jews in Space,
Yay!
which would get rewritten into Men in Tights. Like, it's the same melody or whatever.
We're Jews in space.
Yeah. Man does love himself a song and dance number.
He does. He's great at
This is actually kind of weird in that, again, at the beginning I read the part of the song where it's not actually performed by the cast as part of the film.
It's in the credits? Is that what that was?
Well, it also plays over the evacuation scene.
When they're evacuating.
Aha,
the
yes,
ship.
yes.
But yeah, I think this might be one of his few where there isn't, because obviously producers has Springtime for Hitler,
Mhm.
and
Men in Tights has a ton of songs.
yeah, has a bunch. Fucking famous Young Frankenstein put on the Ritz.
Well, that wasn't an original song, though.
Well, no, but there's usually a song number though.
Mm.
I should have said the Western.
Blazing Saddles.
Thank you. Has I'm Tired and The French Mistake to a lesser extent. His weird and again I think underrated High Anxiety has a song.
Oh, I love High Anxiety.
Yeah, that's a good. So yeah, I
It's
think
been a long time since I saw some of these movies.
Yeah, it's a really good movie. Again, Madeline Kahn has the sedan with the same paint job as the crazy like plaid suit she wears. But yeah, so this is weird in that it's got the song, but it's it's kind of part of the soundtrack, but not actually performed by the cast.
Hmm.
I don't think Dracula
I mean,
didn't loving it has a song.
We do have Vespa singing "Nobody Knows the Trouble Is."
True,
There
true.
you go.
There we are.
Who knew she was a bass?
I don't know. I feel like for that they should have just full on dubbed another actor. Because I feel like she was just doing a deep voice, doing her version of a deep voice. I feel like they should have just gone with another
So I feel like that was
actor
more
entirely.
of a baritone than a bass. To
Oh
be
my
honest.
god.
I don't know the difference.
I also know whenever Dark Helmet has his helmet closed, it's an entirely different voice actor.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because, the joke is that, Darth Vader's got a different voice than...
Yeah. It's
Yeah, but
just,
they got somebody that sounds
Sounds
a lot like Rick Moranis.
yeah, I always
They
just...
could have gone more different, that's true.
Yeah,
It's
like, I always just thought it was Rick Moranis doing
doing
a
a
Darth
deep
Vader.
Darth
Yeah.
Vader voice.
That's... Wow.
It's like when they got Danny Elfman to do Jack Skellington singing, even though he doesn't play Jack Skellington. Like, I had no idea. I assumed it was
Yeah.
the same dude the whole
Which,
time.
in that case, they wanted that, so it's perfect.
Well,
but-
yeah, but I mean, like, I had no idea. I never would have guessed.
Pretty
In
sure
either
that's
case.
what happened.
yeah.
If I'm lying, I apologize, but I'm pretty sure I read that.
I mean, if
I
you're
feel
lying,
like
it's just
you
because your
usually-
source lied to you,
Yeah, I was gonna
so...
say, you usually do your research, so
Well,
if you got it wrong, it's because somebody lied to you.
The
Not
the
because...
Wikipedia page for Spaceballs is sadly short, so I spent a day reading the IMDb trivia and getting very frustrated how often people submit the same trivia item that's been already stated. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my god, yes, I know, there's no merchandising. Holy god!
Okay, but have you heard about how there's no merchandising?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
Please tell
Ames,
me.
let me tell you that George Lucas was like, fine, you can make your stupid movie, but you better not sell any goddamn yogurt dolls.
Yeah.
And Mel Brooks slowly put the yogurt doll behind his back and was
Oh,
like,
this is mine.
yeah,
This is
you're
just
right,
free.
no merchandising.
Free! How about if they're all free for me? Here's another great trivia bit though that I found, in that the original title was supposed to be Planet Moron. Oh!
Sorry.
Loud! Wow! My heart.
Moron.
But there was a British parody coming out right around the same time called Morons from Outer Space. From Outer Space. And they're like, oh, we can't do another moron title when that one's coming out so close. So they're thinking, okay, they're just going through the dictionary of words to add on to space. It's like space this, space that. Oh my god! And then finally, the story goes that Mel Brooks finally just sells balls, and they're like, that's it. Do it.
I hope that's true.
I hope it's
So
true because
too.
it's a great story.
Did Morons from Outer Space ever come out? I don't think I've ever heard of that one.
I'm sure it did.
Sounds like a
I
terrible movie.
kind of wonder if it got retitled before it came out, because that happens a lot. I mean, that's why we got Wrath of Khan, because they didn't want to sound like the upcoming Revenge of the Jedi. Whoops.
Whoops.
Or,
Well, but Wrath of Khan sounds great.
Oh, it does. It sounds better.
Yeah, wrath is a good
And
word.
besides, he doesn't really get his revenge, so it's also
true.
sort of misleading.
He does get a lot of wrath.
He's got
though.
lots of wrath, it's
Yep,
true.
came out
He's vexed.
1985.
How many stars?
-3?
4.5 out of 10 from the IMDb. 39% on Metacritic, 39% from TV Guide, but 81% of Google users liked this movie.
Well, because people searching for it are probably people that are fans of it.
Yeah, that's
I feel
the-
like there's
that's the
always
thing about
always a
ratings.
bit of a selection bias in
Well,
ratings.
Yeah.
the thing goes, like, you're more likely to rate something when you have a very strong reaction.
Either
so
way,
it's either
yeah.
very, very positive or very, very negative, because you don't say, like, that movie was fine, I need to go rate it, unless you're someone who's fucking obsessed with rating things.
Yeah, but I would guess like for a movie like that, like if you see Morons from Outer Space, it's because
Which
you
we
sought it out.
Yeah.
You're not catching that on.
You're
HBO.
either looking for it because for some reason you see that title and go, yes, this sounds like a thing I would love. Or you saw that and go, wow, this sounds so bad that I need to witness the bad.
It's like Caligula reincarnated as Hitler, the last orgy of the Third Reich. Nobody sees that by accident.
Jake sees that on purpose.
Is that a real movie?
It's a real movie.
Is it good?
I
You
hate
know?
everything.
Isn't it a
Oh,
porno?
It's a
I would
porno.
assume.
Oh.
And it's really fucking upsetting. Because it's
That
like,
sounds
okay,
it.
all right, here's the story.
Why is there
I want to hear
God.
the
Do you
story.
want to hear the story of,
Jesus
of how I
God.
saw Caligula reincarnated
Well, I don't need to
as
know how
Hitler?
you saw it, but I want to
It
know
was as a
about, what about
joke.
it.
You saw it as a joke, right?
So yes, for some reason, my
Jake is a bad friend is the moral of this story.
for some reason, my friends are like, "Oh, we should watch a porno as a joke for some reason, right?" So we went to, or I think maybe we were just at Newbury Comics and we saw it and we were like, "Oh my god!" Because the cover art for it looks hilarious. Like it looks ridiculous because it's got like a sexy nurse in a SS uniform or something. Like it's like.
Those uniforms are pretty nice.
So it's like, okay, we gotta find out what this is. So we bought it at Newbury Comics, watched it, and it was fucking awful. Like, I don't remember anything about it other than there was scatological stuff.
Well,
Jesus,
of course, they're
why?
German.
But like also just it's not sexy stuff. Like it was like Holocaust porn. It was
That's
really fucking
terrible.
rancid. It was the worst thing.
So where is this
I mean,
video now, Jake?
So
Because I know there's a story.
after we finished watching it, like I don't even know if we finished it. We watched as much of it as we could stomach, and we're like, no, this is not like we didn't expect this to be good or entertaining, but this is like crossed into just like awful and upsetting. So we can't. What do we do? So
what do we do?
what we did? What our chosen way to get rid of this film was to return it to Hollywood Video and put it in their overnight return slot.
Oh, I thought that was a funnier story.
No,
That's pretty good.
I thought this was like you mailed it to somebody unfortunate or something.
No, we were like,
Sent it to Pat Robertson.
we
Send it as a gift to somebody for a
Well, it was a
birthday.
gift for Hollywood Video. It was a donation. Maybe they'll put it on their shelf. But Jesus H. Christ, do not watch that movie.
I wouldn't have anyway, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah, it's not
So,
good.
so Spaceballs,
Good, better,
which
better.
admittedly, I'd like to think somewhere out there, there was a domino effect. Like, well, we can't call this planet Moron because Morons from Outer Space is coming out. So Mel Brooks releases Spaceballs, and somebody who was making a Star Wars themed porn went, "Fuck!" Took our title.
Because now if they do like Star Balls, it's like, which parody are you doing?
That was a porn parody of a parody. That's I don't think we've gotten there yet. Oh, so I timed the opening shot of Spaceball 1.
Yeah,
So I've never
longer
done that
or
before.
shorter than the Star Wars reveal of the ship.
Oh, much longer. It's a minute and a half.
Nice.
Approximately. From like when you first see the nose to about when I stopped it right about when the engines actually come into view.
Okay.
So yeah, about a minute and a half.
Wow.
So longer than Star Wars, shorter than the Enterprise flyby in the motion picture.
Most things are.
Yeah. What I'm not sure about, because I haven't actually seen it, is if, like, obviously it's mostly referencing the overhead flyby from episode 4. But I also wasn't sure if maybe there was a bit of a goof on Space Odyssey in there at all, because I think there's, like, a long ship flyby at some point then, too, maybe. But I'm not. Because if so, that's actually kind of, because they did a lot of random little sci-fi throwaway lines. I don't think there was anything
Well, I feel
2001-y in there.
Didn't we get a really long shot of the ship from Alien too?
Yeah, the Nostromo.
Yeah, that's true.
I was
They
always
just all
thinking,
do it. It just
because it also kind of looks. It doesn't it's got a lot of that Kit Bash look to it. Like,
Yeah.
it's got a bunch of like little nodules
Yeah.
and shit all over.
Whoever made this model.
It was a great model.
Really
Yeah.
nice work.
Yeah.
We break for nobody.
Yeah, yeah. I always thought like more like the Nostromo because it's also moving slow.
Yeah.
That's
true. It's a bit of both, maybe.
well, the Nostromo only just occurred to me. So, but
No, that's before it goes to ludicrous mode, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which
he's
is
gone to
hilarious.
plaid.
I love that they have a speed they shouldn't use and an emergency brake that says never use.
That scene is one of my favorites when he's like telling him to stop. He's, we can't stop. It's too dangerous. Like, I don't know why. Bullshit, stop it. And it just, oh man, I was like waiting for that scene the whole time.
I don't
It was just
know.
such a good.
When we watch Dark Helmet, watch it later. It's like, no, go past this part.
Yeah,
Never
show us
think
again.
of it again.
Yeah.
and I love his like yell because they fast forward.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so good. That scene is great.
The meta scene?
Yeah.
Fucking excellent.
Because I had never really, like, again, as a kid, I obviously saw this movie a ton, but it had never occurred to me until we were watching it last night that I was like, oh my god, they're just using, like, one of the director's monitors to do this.
Yeah.
Like, all this time, I don't know if I thought, like, they just had really good timing or what. like
when
but it only just occurred to me. I'm like, oh, wait, like, this is the screen that the director would have been watching from. That's why they
didn't
can
just
do it.
sync up their movements with what they already
With
recorded.
the film that had already been released.
That's-
no, I know. Like
That's how the Marx Brothers would have done it.
That's true. Anyway, I'm blonde. I don't
And
know.
well,
I
what's
mentioned
interesting
so,
though is
but-
like from a technical perspective, and I don't really know how any of this stuff works, but how does a director's monitor work then? Because the film was made on film, which has to be developed before you can see what's there. So was it a video? Was that scene shot with video?
So I think basically like I mean, obviously nowadays it's all different. It's all fucking digital anyway.
Mhm.
So you just have multiple screens.
Yeah.
I think it was basically like what the director's monitor has just wasn't able to be recorded, but it was like a CCTV almost.
Right. So okay. So we're seeing the film. We're seeing the.
Well, yeah, it's using the same exact angle.
We're seeing the
though.
same perspective. So I wonder if there was some sort of like mirror prism arrangement that allowed there to be both a video signal and to get to film.
Maybe they just had like I mean, that's what I mean. Maybe the cameras just had two outputs, one for the actual recording and then one for the monitor.
But the way the cameras optically work is just the light goes in, it goes through an aperture, it goes
Onto
through
the
some
film,
lenses, and
that's
then
a
it
good
just
point.
hits the film. So where did the video signal come? It's fucking magic is what I'm saying.
Yay! The
Maybe
the Schwartz.
Maybe there was a video camera attached right below the.
Yeah, maybe
film
it's just,
camera?
maybe it is like a slightly different angle
Maybe?
because it's just like I mean, that's the only thing I can think of because, again, assuming this was filmed on film, which I'm sure it was,
Yeah.
I don't see how they would get a live video feed into the
Maybe
scene.
the video that they're watching, it was blue screen.
No, it was definitely there.
Yeah.
The other thing that's good, that's another technical consideration is most films I believe at the time were filmed in 24 FPS.
Right, so they'd have to.
So the sync rate of whatever screen that would have had to also have been.
Oh yeah,
So you wouldn't
so
get
it
those
wouldn't be
fucking
like
lines.
liney. Yeah.
So which must be a thing because there's lots of times when you see TV screens in movies.
Yeah, but it's something they'd have to have taken into account.
Or maybe it's not a problem as much with film but there's video of the video screen in the video screen. So,
Yeah.
Because it's
This only got much more complicated than it
1
seems.
plus 2.
Plus 2.
I'm impressed with the scene not just from the comedic perspective but also from the technical perspective that they managed to pull that off.
Yeah.
At that time
Yeah.
with that equipment.
It also might be Rick Moranis' funniest fucking moment. When is now? When? Woo! I love it.
The build in that is fucking perfect.
Oh, he's great.
There's a lot of great Rick Moranis bits in this movie. Another one of my favorites is the "too hot,"
Yeah.
which may not even been him delivering that line. But
I never noticed until this time too that like he clearly, I'm sure the idea was to spit out as much as possible before the thing went down,
Mm-hmm.
but not all of it did because there's some dripping
out,
from the mask. And actually, for the rest of the film, there's like a little bit of coffee in the fucking mouth filter.
Is there
Gross.
really?
And at least one scene you can still see there's like staining on. I don't know if it was on purpose or if he just
Holy
actually
cow.
stained it. But
Oh my god.
also, the fucking the pith helmet variant
Yep.
with
Yeah.
the little.
Yeah, that was great.
Oh, I didn't Vader.
I
have
just
one of
loved.
them.
I just loved the costuming for Dark Helmet all around. Like,
Oh,
not,
yeah.
not just the helmet, but like the
The
weird
tie,
necktie
yeah.
that he
Mhm.
has is
The
fucking great.
studs, the little like tights and boots combo with the shorts. It's just so like the more you look at it, the more weird little details it has.
Yeah, it's very well done. The costuming, I feel like the costuming across the board in this film,
Yeah.
from like the spherical helmets that everybody wears to the ass cheek
Yeah.
guards
Mhm.
on the guard uniforms, just really really well done costuming.
Yeah.
And then Vespa's stuck in that wedding dress for the whole movie long,
Mm.
even though she has her royal luggage.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I realized too. You never see her in anything else because the photo her father has of her is her in the wedding dress,
Oh, I didn't notice that.
and the photo of her with her old nose, you can see a little bit of the sleeve.
That's funny.
She's only ever in the wedding dress.
Maybe that's just her princess dress.
Maybe. And I love, they're in a rush. They gotta get to the wedding. But like Cybok stopping to get a haircut before seeing God, they stop for a costume change and to braid Barf's hair.
Yep.
Right, yes.
I did I don't know if this was a reference or not to the fact that, infamously Chewbacca doesn't get a medal at the end of episode 4. Barf's new costume has a little medal on his shirt.
I don't know. I don't know. When did it become a big deal that Chewbacca doesn't get
I
a
have
medal,
no
though?
idea.
I feel like it's more recent.
That's what I
People
kind of
got
thought
pissed.
too.
It
But
was such a big deal that they fucking had to make it a thing in
Oh yeah,
Rise of Skywalker.
terrible.
But
Fucking
yeah, they it's one of those things that even if it wasn't meant at the time, now that's kind of what it feels like. It's like, he got a medal. Yeah, jerks.
yeah.
I don't know. If it were actually a joke, they would actually give him the medal, though.
Mm.
Not just have one on for a particularly eagle-eyed fantasy.
Pizza the Hut.
Oh, God.
Dom DeLuise.
Yep, Dom DeLuise.
So
Yes.
gross.
You're delicious.
I don't know. He did look delicious.
Oh,
Yeah, but he's just
disagree.
oozing and...
And the mouth of the puppet thing doesn't
Oh.
quite go with the
Oh,
mouth.
and the tongue.
It's so
the tongue is
vile.
so gross. Yeah, I hate
I don't
it.
know. If there was like a dip you could dip like
Ugh.
chips in, I
You
would
want
go
you
at
want a
that.
Pizza the Hut dip?
I kind of do.
Oh, God.
Oh my God, he's dipped.
I think the actor Dom DeLuise, you said.
He was the
Yeah.
voice.
Yeah, I think. Okay, whoever the actor who was in there was, whose name I don't think I wrote down because I am the worst, didn't, or rather, got burned by some of the stuff that was oozing.
Oh, God.
No.
So when they were gonna do like another scene or something, he refused to do it again.
Was it? Did they actually like put scalding hot cheese on it?
And it wasn't cheese, but whatever was in there, like making stuff move, was hot.
Oh, the mechanic. Yeah, because he has like a pulsing thing at
Yeah.
one point. So there must have been a motor in there. Ugh.
Yeah, something burned in.
You know what? That's fine. Looking at that thing once a film is more than enough.
Yeah, it was enough.
They
It was
should have got
gross.
Robbie McNeil to do that part. 'Cause he doesn't mind getting burned by things.
Oh, I think he did. I think he minded very much. Similarly, the gold makeup that they put on for Yogurt on Mel Brooks gave him a terrible rash on his
Jeez.
face
Of
and
course
neck.
it did.
Wow.
Metallic. I feel like metallic face and skin makeup always does this. 'Cause
Oh,
that's what
that's-
happened to the original Tin Man.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
The
They had-
silver makeup made him have like horrible allergic reactions, so he wound up having to step out.
And knowing that movie, it was probably also a
Like
massive
lead?
carcinogen. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, it was just made of
I
lead.
think, too, not only did they have to recast him because his reaction was really bad. It was so bad they straight up reformulated the makeup before putting it on the
Yeah,
new guy.
don't
Before
put it on
testing it
another
on
person.
another guinea
Wait,
pig.
yeah.
Jesus Christ.
See, another, since we brought that up, another great, I thought, visual gag in this movie was, or visual reference was when they're entering Yogurt's chamber. It's the scene from
Wizard of Oz.
and
Yep.
they're entering the Great and Powerful Oz.
Yeah, and they've got them all lined up. And
Yeah.
Yes.
They're kind of like trepidatiously walking in.
Yeah, it works out, because you got the sort of the semi-lion, the road droid stands in with the
Yeah.
Tin Man and all that.
Well, here's another little Trek reference, though, is that they based Vespa largely on Elan from Elan of Troyes,
Oh,
the
wow.
TOS episode.
Ah, okay.
In that she's just a
A
not
bitch.
terribly classy lady. I think they did miss an opportunity when she's with Dot Matrix, saying like, "Oh, I know these kinds of fly boys. They're all ugly, fat morons." And then Lone Star is talking to Barf, saying, "Oh, these entitled women. I don't even want to see her in person. She'll just stay back there." And I think they missed an opportunity for Barf to go in first and for her to be like, "See."
Nah, but you'd already seen Barf by that point,
Yeah.
because
Oh,
he's the one
dang,
that
you're right. Fuck.
he's the one that
Didn't
puffed
work.
down to the.
Didn't work.
But maybe she thought he was another Mog.
Possible.
No, you're right. Dang it.
I noticed that so they're when they're on the ship, they're in Barf's room because
Yeah, it's Mog's room.
on the is that his toilet? Because it's a
It is a fire hydrant.
It is a fire
Might
hydrant.
be. Try not to think about it.
yeah.
Does that mean because there's not really. There's like the middle area, then it's bad. So does Lone Star just sleep in the cockpit?
Maybe.
Could be.
That's his room.
Seems plausible, certainly.
I was also a little bummed later in the movie. Maybe this one was more of a missed opportunity. There's just a bear because they have a zoo
Yeah.
on the ship
Oh,
and
yeah.
all this thing.
Yeah.
And the mimes and the acrobats, which are fucking hilarious that they were there. But the bear goes into the escape pod and Scroob tries to go in there and use the paws as a seatbelt. I was almost sad that maybe not necessarily him because he needs to survive to the end of the movie, but maybe if it were like Sanders goes in there and then the escape pod goes away and the assumption is that bear is going to eat him.
The
Tastes like chicken.
Ah, There you go.
The escape pods ejecting
Mm.
was very, I'm sure, intentionally similar to the escape pod ejecting from the
Cantive 4 or whatever.
the rebel blockade runner in that movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's interesting. I wonder if I don't know if they did or not, but if they didn't, it's a missed opportunity. When they had like the circus performers during the evacuation scene, they should have had the actress that did Dot Matrix
Oh.
out of costume as a mime.
They very well could have.
Yeah, I didn't.
They
see
have a
reference,
famous mime
so.
in the cast.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I thought that was a good little payoff because earlier there was the cancel the circus performance.
Yep. Some of the mall food courts. That's where the pizza guy came
Yeah,
from.
restrain the animals.
I mean, if this movie, I know this movie came out in 1987, so it couldn't possibly be, but that could almost be a reference to Star Trek: The Next Generation.
True.
The fact that there's all
Just
this
useless
extraneous
that
stuff
shouldn't
all over
be
the
on
ship.
a fucking starship. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
obviously, it's not a reference to that. But I'm going to make it retroactively.
Good,
Yeah,
good
yeah.
on you.
A
It is
reference.
now.
Yeah. There we go. What's that make us? Absolutely nothing.
Way to say a joke without context. No context.
Well, anyone
at
who's
all.
seen the movie,
Yeah,
knows
yeah,
the
we all
context.
know.
As a side note, like
Look.
that's the danger that we faced with this episode would just be us like just making quotes at each other and going
For an hour and a half. Yeah, that's the hard part about discussing a famous comedy. Is like it's a good thing we actually have talking points we've been finding.
Yeah, I want to say just about Mel Brooks in general is that he is one of those director, producer, like just people with vision who is so good at breaking the fourth wall in ways that most other people they don't deserve. But he can do it in like such great ways to be like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, this is a movie.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? You wouldn't know that. But it's very funny whenever they do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's one of my favorite fourth wall breaking moments is early in the film, and we were talking.
I think that
earlier
might
about
be why I wrote down this
Basel
note.
exposition.
Yeah.
When Rick Moranis turns to the camera and says, "Got that?"
Yes,
Yeah.
I think that's why I wrote this note. It was so good.
Yeah, that's like that and Harvey Korman's fourth wall break in Blazing Saddles.
Which was
He's sitting there, you think he's just talking out loud, where he's discussing the issues he's having with Rock Ridge. He goes, but when I find such a man, why am I asking you? And gestures at the viewer.
why I'm asking you so that you know what was happening in the scene.
Yeah, like that's what it seems like when he does it, it is often making fun of the fact that sometimes you have just very unnatural dialogue or moments for the sake of getting the audience, like, caught up.
Yeah, it's why, like, whenever I listen to, like, a podcast or something, and it's like, the character is just monologuing stuff that they're doing right
Yeah.
now. It's like, okay, I'm entering the room, and it's like, why the fuck would it... No one would be talking when they're doing something by themselves.
There's a lot of old-timey radio, like, just out there now, because no one renewed rights. And yes, some of them, don't get me wrong, are very bad and do the same thing, where someone just narrates what they're doing in dialogue, but...
Yeah.
You can find ones where they knew what they were doing and found ways to do it a little less weirdly. People should listen to those.
They're
and-
making it a log, or they're talking to their cat.
Yeah,
which is
or
why
they
I
just-
get away with talking to myself all the time.
Yeah, or they just find a way to make it work with, like, very sparse dialogue and Foley.
Yeah. Another great gag Star Trek reference in this film
Oh,
is,
there's another
is, well, the beaming scene.
Yeah.
Yep.
The what scene? Oh,
The
beam me
beam
up,
it.
Snotty.
Yeah.
Which I can't remember. We talked about it a while ago, but I don't remember if it actually was in an episode or just us after recording. I think we did, yeah, because we were talking about, it was in our blog activity about transporter accidents.
Okay.
And I mentioned that scene.
Okay. No, I think the amazing reveal that he's just beaming into an
The next
adjacent
room, yeah.
Ugh, it's such
That's-
a good payoff.
that really, and it's,
Why didn't
it's-
anybody tell me my ass was this big or whatever?
See, I think there was a mistake made in that scene
What?
by not having another actor stand right behind Mel Brooks and put his arms
Oh.
through, because
Oh, 'cause the
every
mask-
time
it's the
I
most
see
distracting
his head
thing.
and his arms are backwards.
Yeah.
His
every-
top half, basically.
every
And
time I
his
see
shirt.
that scene, I'm like, oh, why are his thumbs where they are? It's so distracting. So if they had just had another guy kind
You
of
know,
hidden,
a la Whose Line Is It Anyway?
yeah.
And then just have them make something in the kitchen and try to feed it to him. Like, there we go.
So
Those
it's
are always got such good sketches.
It's
They are
easy to miss because you see him very briefly. But obviously they do the close-up on Snotty, and he's got the tam o' shanter or whatever you call those little hats.
Look at him pretending not to know.
Well,
Wearing one of those really specific hats.
Well,
I mean, whatever
the
those
problem
are called.
is, once I said it out loud, I was like, wait, or is it something else? I think it's Tam O'Shanter. But when they have Scroob actually walk into the room, you very briefly see Snotty on like the edge of the screen, and he's even got a gray and black kilt.
Yes, he does.
Nice.
It's like, I
Good
really
for
hope
Snotty.
I really hope they didn't make that themselves, because it's seen for about 2 seconds.
Well, you never know what's going to make it into
Yeah.
the frame of the shot. So
Yeah.
they need them there. I thought the twins joke was a little flat.
I think it may have worked better at the time.
Yeah,
True.
that's
double mint
The
commercials
mint,
were on.
the chewing
Yeah,
gum commercials.
like generally what's great about a good comedy has, or in a comedy that's going to age well, is going to have stuff that doesn't rely as much on pop culture, but it's inevitable that you'll make at least some pop culture references. And yeah, it's like, God, Double Mint hasn't run that campaign since probably the early 90s.
Yeah, and well, honestly, this movie is one giant pop culture reference.
yeah.
True, but I think it was already clear by that point
Yeah,
that Star Wars
that's
was going to have
But
staying
like,
power.
here's the thing, right? I feel as though if George Lucas had just let Star Wars die and didn't do the re-releases, didn't do episodes 1 through 3. If
When you say Star Wars die, you mean after the first trilogy or after
Yeah.
the first movie?
No, after the first trilogy,
Gotcha,
right? So,
gotcha.
like, 1983, imagine that was the last Star Wars content we got.
What a world.
Would it still be as culturally significant today? Would young people... Because the reason I bring this up, the reason I think about it is because I feel like some of the movies that we grew up with that are, like, very culturally significant for us are not in the public consciousness if you were born after, 2000, say.
Yeah, I would say, like, for all the things that have sort of referenced or been clearly inspired by or whatever, say, The Goonies,
Yeah.
I don't know that a teenager or a 20-something is going to know or give a fuck about what the hell The Goonies is.
No, they will. Sometime when they're about 16 years old, they'll ironically go through something where they want to see stuff from like 20 years ago. Happened with me in the 80s.
Fair.
They'll all do it. They'll
I
all
don't know.
be like, oh.
I didn't see the Goonies until I was in my 30s. When did you make me watch the Goonies, Jake?
I don't know.
I don't know. It was a better experience than Gremlins because
I
fuck
had a-
Gremlins.
I've never seen Gremlins.
I had a
Don't.
Goonies poster in my bedroom growing up.
Nice.
A what? Goonies poster?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that was big enough. I feel like it would still be kicking around.
I feel like people still know about the never-ending story.
Oh yeah.
And
Do
I
kids
feel like
though?
Yeah, I
unless
think
so.
here's the thing: unless they're
Parents make 'em
unless
watch
their
them.
millennial
Mm.
parents show it to them. I guess that's the thing. A lot of the movies that I know from like the '60s are things that my parents were into.
I will say, considering where the fandoms have gone with some of the stuff we grew up on, I wish they'd been let to die. Because it's just like, I can't
And we
even...
wouldn't have Mandalorian.
That's fine.
Oh,
I just,
Yeah.
like...
rats.
It's gotten to the point where I hate Ghostbusters now.
Oh,
Because they keep
interesting.
making terrible remakes.
Well, and the fans have become the biggest losers. Like
Nothing
these...
like Trek fans.
Well, you know what it is.
Well, here's the thing. Like with Trek, it just kind of kept going. Like, there were some pauses. Ghostbusters had its day. And then they had the temerity to make a remake, which could have just been forgotten because, let's be honest, it was kind of crappy. But because so many people preemptively lost their tiny minds about it because, oh no, the women's, and then they made this terrible looking, I haven't seen it, so I can't say it's terrible, but terrible looking,
Thank you for prefacing, Chris.
fucking
apology
sequel that all the sad loser guys my age who hate women could jerk off to. Like,
But it's got children in it. I hope they weren't jerking off to it.
like...
Oh my fucking god.
That's what I love too. They're like, oh, this is Ghostbusters. It's like, a movie starring children set in the Midwest is Ghostbusters to you? Did we see the same movie in the 80s?
Because it's a reaction movie. It's not a reaction to the original Ghostbusters. It's a reaction to the current moment of what is Ghostbusters to people right now.
And like bringing this kind of back to
Yes.
to
Spaceballs?
Spaceballs
Do it, Jake.
in a weird way.
I trust you.
Well, I don't know. I just think that a lot of the movies, like the Ghostbusters sequels, like a fair number of the Star Wars sequels that we see now, like really every time I now hear of some movie that I have fond memory, Indiana Jones coming up.
Oh God,
It's
that looks awful.
it's such a cynical move, and
Yeah.
and that's I think what one of the pieces like the
The
satire.
merchandising. They're
It's the
milking the
merchandising.
merchandising.
It's the
They don't have to come up with a new idea. They already have one that they can make more money off
what
of.
this movie is, what Spaceballs is making fun of in a lot of ways is the cynicism
Yeah.
of like Star Wars on its own is not a cynical movie, but the entire culture around Star Wars and around Indiana Jones and Ghostbusters is highly cynical, and it's all about how do we milk the most money. And like that's why I feel like okay, the Ghostbusters, the female Ghostbusters movie, although like not only was it bullshit that people were upset about it, I strongly think, tinfoil hat, that the studio and marketers actively amplified those voices and amplified that more than it might have actually been, because when you heard about it, when you heard about how all these incels were,
I'm gonna go see it twice.
like there was so much of that at that time where people were almost seeing it in defiance of that.
Yeah.
Because like I want to show that that's not true. You know, that women can be in a Ghostbusters movie. It can be good, and like as I didn't see it, so I don't know if it was good or not.
It was good.
It was. I wanted it to be better than it was. I think actually our frequent guest Liz put it best in that it didn't trust the audience enough to get the jokes.
Well,
Oh, no.
It like gave too much time for stuff to like. Wait, you get it? Do you have time for it to land? All right, next thing.
yeah, I mean
I might be misphrasing, but
that is a lot of like that's Big Bang Theory, right? Pause for laugh track.
yeah.
Um,
I will say,
but anyway, yeah. So I just think that like I've just
Prove me wrong.
there's such little stuff happening in Hollywood that doesn't seem completely driven by marketing.
Yeah, it's why I know we're big fans of the pitch meeting series on YouTube with Ryan George, whom I love.
Oh, same.
But it's why there's always a running gag in any of the conversations with the boss man whenever like there's a reference to something else, and the joke is he's from the original movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, because that's what audiences recognize, and then they're comfortable.
it's so
We're
weird.
not challenging people, we're making them comfortable.
And it's funny when you think about Mel Brooks kind of making fun of that in 1987. It's like, oh, Mel, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Yeah. Well, because like Star Wars, for as significant as it was very clearly a money grab by that time.
By then, By then
know.
Jedi had come out and the
Yeah.
Ewoks and... But,
Don't forget the Christmas special, which this is for you,
God.
listeners.
that's true. This is our Christmas episode.
Why haven't we done a Christmas episode about the Star Wars Christmas special?
No.
Because I don't have it.
I don't have it.
YouTube
Nobody
does.
has it. YouTube has it.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so bad.
But yeah, you are right, though. The tangent we got off on was because you were saying, I think this is probably one of his only specific film... like, he's parodied genres, usually.
Yeah.
Like, Blazing Saddles was
A
westerns.
Western.
Oh, no, Young Frankenstein was specifically, like, the Universal Frankenstein franchise, which, it's easy to forget, they made a fucking 1,000 of those in the, 30s and 40s.
Frankenstein's?
Oh, yeah, there was Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, Return of
Oh, okay.
They made so fucking many.
Wow. Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein.
Yes.
Excuse me. That's Frankenstein.
Yep. The High Anxiety, which, again, if you've never seen it, good movie.
Yeah, History of the World, Part 1.
Yep,
It's just
yeah.
a history movie.
Yeah, where High Anxiety is sort of like a pastiche of, like, Hitchcock and thriller tropes.
So whenever I hear high anxiety, I automatically assume it's related somehow to high fidelity, and I know that's
Nope.
not right, but it always hits the same spot in my brain.
Fair.
Although Men in Tights was a send-up of Robin Hood, specifically.
But like, again, like, sort of the idea, they reference the Kevin Costner one, but it's not specifically a spoof of the Kevin Costner one. It's really, aesthetically, it's mostly the, that old silent hero one.
I've only seen... I think actually Men in Tights might be the
Only Robin Hood you've seen. That's
adaptation
fine.
I've
You've
seen.
never
Wow.
seen the Disney cartoon?
Oh, with the
With the-
fox.
I-
The
the
fox
fox that
the
everyone's
very
thirsty for.
fuckable fox.
The Foxy
The
Fox.
very
I think I've
fuckable
seen-
fox.
Isn't that's a Wes Anderson film?
Yes.
It's a very fuckable fox.
Actually, so strangely enough, Fantastic Mr. Fox is the only Wes Anderson film I've seen.
Wow.
Yeah. But there was a silent movie, Robin Hood, that he is very clearly aesthetically based on. But yeah, they're doing a couple different versions in there.
Yeah. It's funny because, now that I think about it, have I ever seen another... I've seen two adaptations of Robin Hood.
Wait, you're
Men in
forgetting
Tights
Cupid.
and Cupid. Those are the two I've seen.
There we go.
Found it.
Oh, boy. It is weird, though, because I don't think, again, unless it was very subtle, I don't think there were any obvious 2001 references in this, which is surprising. Because, again,
almost felt like there were almost a couple musical touches that were close-ish. Maybe that was like an audio reference.
Yeah, maybe, especially the kettle drum guy.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, the kettle drum.
Who gets in an escape pod and
Yeah,
goes away.
Sanders on the head
Good
with
for
the
him.
mallet. I love that he's in the full tux, but then the helmet,
Yep.
the little ping pong helmet, as they call it. Any other interesting little things you found, or?
Oh God, were there? John Candy ad-libbed, "Oh, that's going to leave a mark."
Which was like later used by
Chris Farley all the time.
And became Chris Farley's catchphrase.
Yeah.
Yeah, he operated the tail with a hidden control in the paw.
Oh, that was him. Wow.
So he was doing it. That's cool.
Yeah, he did the tail, but two assistants did an
the
ear
ears.
each. And his costume was powered by a 30-pound battery he wore on the
Jesus.
back.
Wow.
Just for the fucking ears and the tail?
Presumably, yeah.
Plus he
Fuck,
has
he
to
had to
drag
wear-
a robot around.
And
Yeah.
his own big ass. I mean,
Yep.
no offense, John Candy. You were a big man. You know you were.
Oh, we deigned to talk about Vinnie Fontaine. Not that
Oh
he's
yeah,
called Fontaine,
our
but
Max Headroom ripoff.
yeah, I like the makeup though.
I did
Oh,
too.
is that
I
Jabba
liked
the
it.
Hutt's little
Yeah, the
boyfriend?
You're
robot
delicious.
guy. Yeah,
I liked him.
I like.
When you said Max Headroom, I thought you were talking about the newscaster.
Which newscaster?
When there's a newscaster at some point in the film.
Oh yeah, no. Later on, talking about Pizza the Hut dying.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
that kind of
yeah.
looks like Max Headroom.
A little bit.
But yeah, now
Yeah.
you're talking about the guy that was Pizza the Hut.
Yeah, in the silver makeup.
Yeah, great makeup.
Great
Yeah,
makeup.
that's
It
really
almost
a fun,
looked like prosthetics, but
yeah.
when you look closely at it, you're like, no, that's just painted on.
Yeah,
it's
I think
really-
they took a lot of pride in that too, because people really did think it was prosthetic
Yeah, really great way to do like
contour work.
this guy's a robot.
Yeah, good work.
There's a ton of that I see on TikTok now. That's like a big.
yeah.
There's like people doing like videos where they apply makeup to themselves that looks very much 3D and
Yeah.
You're so,
So
hip,
cool.
Jake.
it's very. It looks
I love
it's
that
really
shit.
cool.
I think it's time for us to leave Twitter and join TikTok.
I mean, TikTok's. I mean, aside from
TikTok will still be here next week. It's got that.
well, there's that, but there's also the whole: are they sending your data to the Chinese government?
Look, every other app I have is giving my data to the U.S. government,
That's
so
true.
I don't care if the Chinese have it too.
That's fair.
I don't think the Chinese are going to do much with my data.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna look at this guy's pathetic. He's not worth spying on.
Yeah, it is very. The makeup
The
is
spy
really well
who
done on that
shrugged
guy.
me off.
Oh, another little visual thing that they did that I thought was fairly clever was, so they got the floating vehicle in the sand that a dark helmet's sitting on, and what they did was they surrounded the base of it in mirrors to reflect the sand to make it look like it was floating.
Holy shit, that's brilliant.
Yeah, that's an old trick. I think they
good trick.
they might have even done that with the original Star Wars.
No,
Yeah,
what I
that's an
heard
old
from the
trick.
original
So
Star
cool.
Wars is that it was just a car with wheels, but that they spread petroleum jelly on the camera's lens to kind of blur out.
Oh, so I meant when it was still, not when it was moving.
Oh, I think when it was still, it was actually on an arm.
Okay.
I've
There's-
seen photos of it on like a.
I feel like I've definitely heard somewhere somebody did a similar thing. Maybe I was just reading trivia for this years ago and forgot it was for this.
I mean, I'm sure it's a general trick for
Yeah.
magicians and shit.
Yeah, it's so funny, like all these great old practical
and
effects tricks that.
now the answer is green screen or CGI it later. We'll fix it in post.
Yeah.
Just paint the wheels green and
you
we'll get rid of it.
kind of wonder like if it would be cheaper and easier just to slap some mirrors there.
Yeah.
Petroleum jelly is clever though. That's good.
Yeah, because like if you look, they cleaned it up in the re-release, but if you look at
Obviously.
the original version, like when it's like they're going through the Tatooine city and they're just driving around, like it looks like there's like a force underneath the car, but it's just like because they blurred it out on the camera.
But see, that would make sense. You can see the distortion the anti-grav thing is
Yeah,
making.
there you go.
So The last thing, actually two more things. One more thing. There's not really a Luke lightsaber. What's his fucking name? Skywalker. Fuck my life. There's not really a Luke Skywalker correlation in this movie. They kind of just left it as, you're basically Han, you're basically Leia. We've got a kind of a chewy...
No, it's Prince Valium.
Okay, Jake found it. Good work.
I mean, there's a little bit of Luke in there. Han is what it is. They just sort of like...
They'll kiss.
Yeah,
they're like... them touch dicks, and now they're one person.
Well, him and Dark Helmet touch dicks. And
Yes. Obligatory penis joke.
Hate when you get it twisted.
Oh.
I felt like that was probably the one thing that annoyed Lucas, was that they had the wrong lightsaber colors.
No, they did. I think they did that because they probably couldn't do the red and yellow, red and blue.
Well, no, it's not that. It's that. But Vader had the green, and Lone Star had the sort of the reddish orange, and
it was more yellow, I thought.
Well, still,
that's not orange.
But either way, because the reason I say that is because at one point Mark Hamill appeared in like a parody thing once. He said, "Hey George, do you mind?" And George said, "As long as you have the lightsaber colors right, I don't care." Like he's really hung up on the fact that bad guys are the ones that have like stuff
warm
from the warm color end of the spectrum.
Well,
and
again, though, I wonder if okay.
And that was a Star Wars thing, though.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I wonder if it's like a if for kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, for kids.
Good reference.
If they didn't want to create confusion, perhaps, right? I don't know.
I don't know where you're going with
this.
Like,
they chose different colors specifically to differentiate it from Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying they didn't care. They were just like, yeah, of course. But I just, again, knowing that apparently it's something Lucas gets hung up on, I wonder if it annoyed him.
I don't know. I doubt it. The last thing I wanted to bring up, just because I don't see this almost anymore, and I feel like it was just very much, maybe it's more in kids' movies, I don't know. But the credits where you start off with like actual video of each person.
Yeah.
Because
it was big in the 80s.
Yeah, I don't feel like we see it anymore. And now it's like I almost never know actors' names because I don't have the reference for which character they play.
Yeah, that's something that just... Well, it's really funny. If you watch like old movies, like opening credits were the big thing once upon a time.
Right.
You would have very long opening credit sequences.
Yeah, with like great animation, and instead of just, we're just gonna pan it over a landscape, boring!
And then at the end, it was like, there would be like a couple of cards relisting the main cast and a couple of the crew. But I think what it basically came down to is over the years, as more and more people were contractually required to get credit, rightfully so, end credits just became longer.
Really long.
And opening credit sequences got shrunk.
Yeah, the only people that you require in the opening credits are the ones that have it in their contracts.
Well, famously, and this movie did it too, I noticed.
Yeah.
There were no opening credits in Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, because they went right to the Once Upon a Time warp.
Yeah, and Star Wars was the first movie to do that, and and it was such an issue.
It was.
That at the time that George Lucas got expelled from the Directors Guild or something.
Censured by them, and then he quit in protest.
So like, because they're like, no, you can't not have opening credits on a film. That's not how we do. And he said, no, fuck you. I'm not putting opening credits because I want my movie to start this way.
Trailblazer.
Yeah.
Spaceballs.
Spaceballs.
Watch out. It's the Spaceballs.
It even has wipe cuts.
Yes.
It could dissolve.
Yeah. I do appreciate they didn't overdo it, because I feel like even George was overdoing them unironically in the prequels with his fucking weird fades and cuts and swipes.
So distracting.
Oh, God, it's ridiculous.
Too much George.
Yeah, cool. Good movie.
Very classic.
Yeah, very good.
Eagle 5, I Heart Uranus.
Yep. Raspberry Jam.
Mm-hmm.
Multiple layers of joke. Good for them.
Yep. It's a good one.
Yeah, definitely my favorite Star Wars movie.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair.
Cool. Let's get out of here. I have things to do. I don't. What things do I have to do?
Watch other Mel Brooks films.
I kind of want to just watch a bunch of Mel Brooks films
right
now. Let's see. Young Frankenstein, High Anxiety, all the good ones. Silent movie, quite good.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that
Very
one
clever.
in ages.
Very clever. Good use of the medium.
And that's him, Marty Feldman, and...
Oh God, I don't remember.
Is it Tom DeLuise?
It's been 8,000 years
I've
since
never
I
seen
saw this
that
movie.
one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Is it actually silent?
Yep.
Oh,
Mostly.
shit.
I think there's
Yes.
one word or
There
something,
is.
and it's very funny.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll revisit that, and you'll revisit us, of course, on the podcast Star to Steer Her By, because we're usually a Star Trek podcast. I don't know if you realize that. We ain't found shit. So, yeah, check out all of our Star Trek-related materials over on our SoundCloud. We also got a blog over on Tumblr, sshvpodcast.com. We have lots of material up there that you should get into. You can check out our other We did all the Star Warses already. They're up on SoundCloud as well. Listen to all of those. Jesus fucking Christ, George. What else? Next week we're doing more The Voyager, as we're getting through a whole lot of Star Trek.
Yep.
Next week's episodes are going to
Chris.
be...
If you can hear me, then it worked. 15 years and a lot of bad math, but it worked. I need to tell you that next week's episodes are actually Bliss and parts 1 and 2 of Dark Frontier. Put this in the recording if this worked. God, I hope it worked. It was such a blunder. And it's been driving me mad for all this time. I grew a really bad haircut and got a sweet jacket, but it's not sweet enough to make up for how bad the haircut is. So bad.
Yeah, so check us out next week for that. We're going to have more great Star Trek stuff. Till then, this has been Beeps.
This has been Dinks.
I don't know what to say because the joke changed. This has been
Major Asshole.
Major Asshole. There you go.
And there goes the planet. This is Chris.
That went poorly.
So
Sorry,
bad.
do you want to try it again? Because
Not
I didn't
really.
realize what you were doing.
No, this is great.
No, but I get it now. Let's try it again.
Nope.
Come on, Ames, do it.
Nope.
Ames, quick.
No.
The creeps.